Action speaker series. I have got the incredible Wendy Yalom. She is a professional brand photographer with us. Wendy, I am so excited to have you here. You are just such a beautiful soul. And since the moment I met you, I think we met in 2013. God,
girl, we did
7 years.
And I think we met at a cafe in Paris, which is like the coolest part of that story.
Yes, we did. We did. We met in a cafe in Paris. I think it might have actually been my first trip ever to Paris. Probably my first trip ever. And then you were the first like real legit brand photographer, especially for those of us who are in this online space building personal brands. You're the first photographer who I actually worked with. Holy moly.
Right, girl.
Like a little baby back then.
That amazing shoot we did at the Ritz in Marina Del Rey.
Yes.
Yes. What a joy. It's been such a pleasure to be, thank you for having me be part of this and part of your community and your tribe. And this is such a reflection of the woman you were then, which is like such a giver, so driven, so on purpose. I love that you've created this for your community. It's such a joy to be a part of it. And it's such a joy to have been with you through the last 7 years.
I know. And to stay in contact like this, it's awesome. So take a couple of moments. Obviously, like there's lots of gaps to fill in about who you are and what you do in the world. So you want to take just a minute or two to tell us a little bit more about you and the work that you do in the world. And then we'll kind of dive into a juicy combo here.
I love it. And I'm so, it's so cool what you just said about us still being in contact after 7 years, because I think that's, and as we dig into this conversation deeper, I think that's actually one of the big things I find is so valuable for how to stay in action when it comes to marketing. So just asterisk that statement you made. But yeah, I'm a brand photographer. I am a world traveling brand photographer. I work with spiritual entrepreneurs, primarily coaches, speakers, authors, online educators, entrepreneurs, and the clients I work with are purpose-driven to make a difference in other people's lives. And I get to make a difference in their lives by creating standout images that allow them to do the work they want to do and market their services and share what they do. And for me, it's a combination of creating really compelling, magnetic, standout images that are going to draw people's attention when they're online, and also creating experiences for my clients where they just feel so fully aligned with their purpose through the experience of the shoot that the actual shoot itself is a place where they get to feel relaxed into their own power and confidence and really feel so authentically seen in that power and confidence that's what gets reflected in the images. So it's taken me all over the world. I've worked with the most extraordinary human beings.
You have.
Yeah.
So amazing. Okay. So here's where I want to start, Wendy. Actually, everybody in the audience, Wendy and I were just chatting for like 5 minutes before we pressed go live. And there was something that you shared that I think is so valuable for the time that we are experiencing right now. So, everybody knows like Wendy's a photographer. Photography, that is happening in person. So you are getting on planes, you're traveling to other places, you're staying in hotels, you're eating in restaurants, and you are with your team, makeup artists, hairstylists, you're with your client. Well,
totally.
Yes. Like social distancing does not work for that. And there's something that you shared with me a few minutes ago about how you had been like really going for it for like 12 to 24 months in your business. And this kind of season that we're in a way, it's been somewhat of a gift for you. And I think that in order for us to move through times like this, part of it is the perspective that we choose to take. So I'd love to just hear you speak from the heart about the way that you're looking at this season in your business and in your life, despite the fact that your business is with people in person and that's not happening right now.
Yes, I'm so grateful. What a perfect conversation to be having. There's a few things that I've noticed, and in particular, the places I've most I've noticed them is I also mentor photographers around business. And I don't know if you have this experience or if your clients have this experience, but so often it's like what we teach, what we have to remind ourselves or we have to learn. So much of what I'm teaching is not necessarily what I have to learn, but what I have to remind myself of. And among those things is that my business is a long game, that my marketing is a long game, that everything I'm doing is a long game. And I think we can so easily, in this culture of success and achievement, and I live in San Francisco, which is like all about innovation and growth, get caught in this idea that we have to constantly be going and growing and innovating. And I forget that actually I'm building a lifelong career. And so the gift of this time has been a reminder. There's a joke in my family that I have two speeds, fast and stop, which is true. And so it's like, I had forgotten that there's actually, like, I like to think of it as like a third gear. So what I'm discovering in this time is, oh, right, there is so much about what I have built in my business that does not need me right now to feel like I'm putting out a fire.
Right.
And I can actually be in third gear. And so so I'm getting to now balance my personal needs, which actually were needing a little bit more downtime than I was giving myself, with continuing to grow and innovate my business. So for me, the perspective is like, oh, this is actually a downshift. And I am really excited and curious how to maintain this gear moving forward.
Wow.
Because I think, like, we both know so many people who are speaking to burnout because it's part of our culture that we feel like we need to keep giving till we can't give anymore.
Yeah.
Versus finding a way to maintain and give. And
yeah.
So that's been, I think, one of the biggest lessons.
Yeah. So one of the words that's coming up for me is this can be such an opportunity, this season that we're all experiencing in our lives and in our businesses. It's an opportunity, perhaps, in a way to reinvent yourself and reinvent the way that you go about life and the way that you go about your business. And, you know, I don't know a whole lot about your business before I knew you as a brand photographer, but I do know that did you start out as a wedding photographer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'd love to hear you talk about like the ways in which you have reinvented yourself or your business or kind of shifted, because I think that right now is also a really good opportunity for some people in their businesses to use it as a chance to reinvent themselves so that they come out on the other side, maybe even more aligned with their bigger soul purpose and gift in the world. So shed a little bit of light on what your journey of reinventing yourself and your business has been like over the years.
Oh my God, girl, I'm so happy you brought this up. It's something I've been speaking to a lot with the photographers that I mentor. For me, the two biggest transitions in my business, the two biggest up levels came as a result of the last two recessions. Wow. So 2001, when the bubble burst, I was working at a .com and I left my job so I could start my business as a photographer. So that was my first, 2001. And then in 2008, when the economy became really tough, I realized I couldn't rely on just earning money as a photographer and having a camera and having relationships. I actually needed to start treating what I was doing as a business. And so it was in 2008 that I got serious about treating what I do as a business. And that is the thing that has sustained me. And so for me, the last two biggest recessions have actually been the most positively impactful for my business. I don't know, obviously I don't have a crystal ball, but what I have been doing as I think about the future and the opportunity for reinvention is I keep hearing like uncertain, times, like that term again and again. And I've started to reframe it as uncharted, that it's not that, yes, like it's the same thing, but when we think of uncharted, we actually think of like new terrain, like it's new territory that we get to explore. To me, uncertain is like, is there a bear in the cave or not? Like uncharted is like, I don't know, I haven't been down this trail. Where is it going to lead us? Let's discover. Yeah. And so approaching it not with that sense of fear, but like possibility. And so, yeah, I love that you asked this question. It's such a great question.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's something that you said actually earlier about playing the short game versus playing the long game. And that is, I'm so glad you said that, because that is language that I use a lot in my free community, in my marketing message, and we definitely talk about it a lot in our programs. And you know, we all see this. Everybody wants like instant gratification, and everybody wants like the tactic or the strategy that I'm going to deploy right now. I want it to work right now and produce these amazing results. And I think there's so much to be said about playing the long game. And here's where I'm going with this for this conversation. You know, because your business thrives by you connecting with people in person and traveling around the world, and we know that's not happening right now, you're still in a position where you're okay. You're not losing your house, you're not losing your business, you're not freaking out about finances. And I imagine that part of what you've done is set yourself up so that when things aren't always at a big high, that you're still okay and you can still get through that season. And I think that's because your perspective on your business is it is a career. It is a 20, 30-year thing. It is a long game. So can you talk a little bit about, from an entrepreneur, you know, kind of solopreneur, it's me and my business, I make all the money that comes in. How can we really set ourselves up? Because this is not the first season where, you know, things kind of go downhill. It is not going to be the last. And ones in the future are just going to look different. So how do you set yourself up to be okay during like lower times?
Yes, I love that you asked this. Well, I think I want to speak to something that actually came up this week, which is there is, I think, a misconception when it comes to marketing. I'm going to talk about marketing because I think that's what for me has been the foundation of what has allowed me to feel really comfortable throughout this time. I feel relaxed. I feel grateful for the downtime. I feel happy to have the time to do other projects. It's like I feel at ease. And I think that's what you're speaking to. And it's because my marketing always has been about creating relationship. And I notice some of the photographers who I mentor get stuck thinking that marketing is selling. So right now they don't know how to interact with their community because they think that what they need to be doing is promoting and selling their photo shoots, which right now it's not, I mean, you can be doing that. And I don't actually know exactly when we're going to be out. I don't know, like, I don't have the desire and energy to be on the streets of New York right now with a client trying to pretend like we aren't in the middle of a pandemic and, you know, take great, like I just don't think that's a possibility. But what I can do right now is continue to nurture those relationships. So I do have a sustainable business. So I have enough cash on hand to maintain my business. I'm not living client to client. And I can relax into the knowing that the marketing I've been doing and the kind of relationships I've been building are going to sustain through this time. That when we get out the other side, if it's not for another, you know, if I don't start offering shoots again for another 6 months, those people aren't going to have forgotten about me, right? You and I, we just said, like, we've been in rapport in a relationship for 9 years now. 7 years, 7 years. And so for me, that has been the most valuable thing. The other thing I'm discovering is I had this really fun idea about 3 years ago to teach a course on how to create professional looking selfies for people. It was just something fun that I do on my own. And I thought that, and I didn't have the time to do that. And so this last month I spent like creating that course and delivering that course. And it was a super simple, easy offer. And this huge community of people who I'd never offered anything like that to were excited to buy it. So it was a way for me to generate some income during this time, that in a way that was really fun for me, that served my community. And the other thing we're looking for ways to do is the clients that we have served over the years, how can we serve them now? We're reaching out. Do you need us to support you and how to use your images? Do you want to have a call for a future shoot? Like, what is it that would be of value for you? Do you need custom stock images we can create for you? So it's like just continuing to maintain those channels that I know will eventually lead to me continuing to do this work.
Yeah, I love your approach to serving your audience right now during this time when you can't actually be in person with them. And I'm going to reiterate it because I want people to really pick up on this. you didn't sit around and try to dream something up without connecting with your audience first. What I heard you saying is you went out to your own audience and your own community, and maybe some of them like individually, and you asked them how they wanted to be supported right now and how they can be served. And it's through that conversation and relationship where it sounds like you've been able to come up with some things to provide to them, right?
Totally. That's exactly, you nailed it. I mean, it's as if you were behind on our marketing strategy, which is like we messaged all of the client, most like a good, not all of them, but we messaged a few hundred of the clients who I've worked with over the years and said, here's the ways we're thinking of serving you. Would any of these be valuable? And overwhelmingly, people are like, I want to do that selfie thing. Like, how do we do the selfie thing? So it was, okay, great. That's what they want. How do we serve them? And then how do we offer that to the bigger community?
Yeah.
So it's a fun thing too, because my bigger community gets it. And then those clients who have worked with me multiple times over the years, they also get just this sweet, free gift from us that supports them now during this time. They feel like they're being served. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. All right. I know that building relationships is so important for you. And that is something that we teach here. I like to be super high touch, very low tech. I'm like you, I predominantly built my business through building relationships with people. And I also find that, you know, a lot of us when we become entrepreneurs in the online space, most of us had some sort of job or career that was in person at one point in our lives. I was a teacher, you know, people were nurses or they worked in corporate or whatever. And it was easy for them to build relationships when everything was in person. And then we come online and it's like, we think that building relationships with people and communicating and having conversations, it's so different in the online space. I actually think it's really similar, but you know, I think people see like internet, online, and we feel like there's so many degrees of separation between human beings, but something that I've watched you do over the last 7 years is so eloquently and beautifully, not just to build relationships on the front end, but you have maintained relationships for a really long period of time. Can you kind of give a little bit of insight, maybe some tips on how you approach relationship building over the long term in your business?
Yes, I love this. Well, the first thing is I was really clear that I wanted to work with people who I'd want to spend time with, even if they weren't paying me. You know, that was like obvious to me. I want to serve the women who have a similar value in the world. So so for me, the relationships are as meaningful on a personal level as they are on a professional level, first off.
Yeah.
And then the thing that I have done over the years, which has been so valuable for me, is I've constantly been, it started in probably about 2011, maybe. I started to orchestrate's not the right word, but bring together a group of women who I really valued the opinions of, who I was inspired by, and who I thought would be what I like to think of as like, if I had a speed dial of like who to call when I don't trust my own instincts, these are the women I want on that speed dial, right? And so I've over the years created what I call mistress minds, which are essentially masterminds, but all women, small groups of up to 8 women who were also representative of my ideal clients, right? Because they were the women I wanted to spend time with. And so those relationships were primary. And from there, I built a lot of additional relationships. So that was the starting point. And then the thing that I also want to speak to is the kind of relationships, like the relationship you and I have maintained over the years. I have consistently just felt absolute admiration for you and continue to just have that same experience I had from you on that day that we first worked together. And I also continue to hold a vision for any of my clients to work with me in the future, which I think is important. I think there's one of the other things I hear, and I don't know if your community feels this too. They're afraid to email because they don't want to be annoying, or, you know, they've got this idea that somehow that like, if they market through email, they're somehow negatively impacting the person. want to hear from me, they're going to delete my email, and that's okay. You know, it's like the people that I'm reaching out to either through my email list or one-to-one are people who I really admire and respect and have a similar view of the world. And I'm reaching out to them in genuine admiration and out of a space of genuine possibility. You know, is there possibility for us to work together again? If there's not, I'm okay with that. And I'm totally okay with people deleting my emails. But I do think that there's another important factor, I think, which is it's always a genuine, like reach out. It's never like a needy, or there's never any kind of like there's a mantra I love to share with my photographers, which is let your marketing be magnetic, not pursuing. And so like let yourself be engaged with this person because you generally are inspired and care for them and want to serve them, and without needing anything in return. Yeah. And so those are probably the two ways that have been most important to me when I think about creating relationships.
Yeah. And I'm on the receiving end of some of those emails. I mean, every once in a while, you send me a personalized email just to me.
Yeah.
And I'll just share like super transparently so everybody can, you're getting like real-time example here. I'm on the receiving end of that. And I have never felt bothered, annoyed. Oh my gosh, she just wants my money. Oh my gosh, yes. Whatever. And I don't always like buy. And, and I think that's important because what you have done so well, and you're such a good example of this, just because not every single person you're reaching out to is saying yes to you and buying from you, you're not writing off that relationship. You're not like, oh, I'm going to delete her from my list because she's not buying from me. That's why we are still having this conversation right now, 7 years later, because that line and that channel is always open. And, again, on the receiving end, when the person, when you're giving from this place that you're talking about, like from a very genuine, authentic, centered, grounded, aligned, I am here to be of service place, the recipient receives it that way. And it's interesting, Wendy, one of the things that I get asked this question a lot, and people want to know, like, what is the exact wording and the exact language that I need to use to send a message or to send an email? What would you, if one of your clients asked you that, like, okay, like I'm afraid to reach out, I'm afraid to connect, I'm afraid to ask, Wendy, like, tell me how to word that. Like, what would you say to them?
I will. I'll tell you exactly, because I think you're a great example. I also know that the work you continue to do in the world, like my service actually is in service to you. And I know there may be a time when you need my service again. So if I was, let's say I was coming to Florida, because I know you live in Florida and we've talked in the past about potentially having a photo shoot in Florida. So let's say I'm coming to Florida and I have a couple of days available. I would think of you. And so I would say that to you. I would say, oh, how are you? You look amazing online. I can't believe how gorgeous your daughter looks. Like Sean looks amazing. So like, it just seems like you're thriving. Like I would reflect what I'm seeing. And then I would say, I was just thinking of you because I'm going to be in Miami in October. And I'm curious if you are wanting brand photos. I'd love to connect with you if you were wanting it. If so, let me know and we'll find a time to talk. Thinking of you, trust you guys are great, like enjoy your shelter in place, XO Wendy. So there's a clear ask, like if you are wanting, like I thought of you, I know you're in Florida. I know in the past you've talked about maybe doing a shoot in Florida. I'm going to be there. Is this a good time? If so, let's talk. That's all I say. And then like, trust you are enjoying this beautiful Tuesday in October, whatever it is. And then because it's like that's it. I mean, it's that straightforward. And so I think the important things are, number one, have it just be personal and just acknowledge there's this thing I teach all my photographers, which is like, anytime you have a generous thought about someone, just share it. And so it would be like, what are the generous thoughts I've had about you when I've seen you recently online? And then just being upfront, like, I thought of you. I'm coming to Florida. That's why you're in my mind.
Yeah.
And then a clear, not call to action, but it's like, if this is something you want, let me know. I don't say, if not, don't worry about it, or da-da-da. Like, it's just like, if not, they're not going to, if it is. And then just, again, like a wish for their well-being.
Yeah.
And so I think those are it doesn't need to be a novel, but it wants to just feel genuine.
Yeah. And to all our listeners, that is literally to the word what Wendy actually says in her emails when she reaches out, because you have sent me a few of those, and you literally almost just read word for word the last email I remember receiving from you, which was sometime last year. I think you were going to be in Savannah, Georgia. I think you were close by, and you were going to be in Savannah or somewhere, and you reached out to me, but that's exactly how you did it. And that feels so good. And the energy behind that is also coming from the right place. And I think that sometimes what can happen is entrepreneurs can kind of insert their own problems or their issues into it, or they're looking at, oh my gosh, I need to go make money. And I think when we're operating from that place and we're unsure of ourselves, that's when we have this block on, but what am I supposed to say to them? What am I supposed to say because I need the money or I need the client? And then it's blocking from really tapping into and connecting with that person from a genuine place. So I imagine, Wendy, like just from like a mindset perspective, before you, and look, you're like an expert of this at this point, do you have any sort of like mindset, belief system, kind of like centering practice, or are you like going into those actions, setting an intention first? Like, how do you approach that?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, I think that it gets back to what I was saying about marketing is not necessarily selling, right? So when I'm sending you those emails, like, that's our marketing. Like, I'm continuing to maintain this relationship with you. I'm reminding you that I am just paying attention. I think you're up to amazing things, and I am inspired by what you're doing. I'm reminding you that I offer this and it might be something you're wanting. Like, it's actually like a really high touch marketing, but it's coming from a place of, and this actually goes to sales too. I love that you brought this up. So I don't know if there's an exact mindset, but that, when I think about a successful sales conversation, it's not a sales conversation that necessarily ends in a sale. It's a sales conversation where I am clear about what I have to offer. I clearly understand your needs, and together we discover if those are a good fit. That's it to me. And so I think that there is something about, I'm totally aware of the value I offer. I know that the service I can offer you will be valuable. I don't have that like I'm the only one that can offer that to you, or like somehow you have to work with me. I don't genuinely know what your needs are right now. I'm curious, like, what I offer, here it is. I want to be clear about it. So I think that if there's anything, it's something about, and I think it also speaks to that long game, which is, I'm not, oh God, and there's one other thing. I'm so all over the place with it. Sorry guys, I hope this is valuable. Is that there's times where you have to distinguish like the personal from the professional. So you can be high touch, you can be really personal in your interactions, but if you don't want photography from me, like, I can't take that personally. Yeah. And I think some people avoid acting because they don't want to be personally offended or hurt. And yet, if they have real genuine belief in the value of what they offer the world, then can reside in that. And they can trust that it's not a good fit. It's not a personal attack. It's just not the right fit. That's okay. Like, there's lots of people that aren't the right fit, I'm really loving that how you're distinguishing the difference between marketing and selling, because that email that you kind of outlined for everybody, a lot of people would think that's sales, but that is actually marketing. Yeah. And they say, well, I don't want to send that email because I'm going to be pushy. I'm bothering them. What if they don't have the money? But it's like, wait a minute, that is actually the marketing strategy
the sales conversation would be if they respond to that email and say, you know what, I'd like to actually get on a call and explore this. I'm thinking about a photo shoot. Let's have a talk. That's the sales part, that actual conversation. So that is like it's so simple, but I think that might be a mic drop moment for people to really understand that that is marketing. And it's the marketing. Okay, so here's another, let's just attach this to it. Because as you're talking, I'm thinking of myself. It's like, you know what? By the way, I haven't had a photo shoot in like 3 years. So I'm like due for one. But you know what? Anytime photo shoot or photos crosses my mind, guess who I'm going to think of? I'm going to think of the person who's maintaining the relationship with me and who's continuing to connect with me. Not because we're in sales conversations all the time, but because of the marketing pieces that you're putting out. So you're top of mind whenever I'm ready to be thinking about photography. So I think that is freaking brilliant. And I want to invite everybody also to go back and rewind this to the part where Wendy was articulating how that email is written, because I promise you that's exactly what it looks like in my email inbox when I receive them from her. And if you just kind of copy that, like if you need any support on how to message it or how to order that, like how to arrange that email, like there you go. It's right there. I love it, Wendy. Yes. I love it. Is there anything, like any last words of wisdom that you would like to leave us with today?
Oh, girl. I just think I love getting to geek out with you on this stuff. It's so fun. I think like in the last few interactions, we've always talked about photography, which I love, but this is so fun to talk with you about this. So I don't have any, I mean, I feel like we've covered so much. And of course your community is welcome to, you know, tag me, and I'm not sure how the after of this is, if they can tag me and I can respond to questions. If they have questions, please feel free.
Yeah. And I know that people might be thinking about like, how can I get in touch with Wendy? Maybe they're thinking of doing a photo shoot in the future. How can people connect with you? And I'll put it on the screen here too.
Yeah. So my website is wendykYalom.com, or even easier, just wendy.photo will get you there. And on there, you will find right near the top an opportunity to download a guide I have for acing any photo shoot, which is super fun. I highly recommend it. Is this like thorough 6-page guide that covers like not only the practical, but also the mindset. And it's a lot, I think, more useful and deep than just the things you need to know in terms of like what to wear and how to do your hair. It's I think will get you to deeper level. So please go there. And you can always find me on Insta, is a great place, at Wendy K Yalom. So those are probably the best places.
Amazing. Well, I have a feeling you're probably going to be solidly booked for the year of 2021 when all of this stuff that we're experiencing goes away. So thank you so much, Wendy. This was such a rich conversation. I'm like so pleased with some of the directions this went in. It was amazing to just reconnect with you as well. And thank you so much for being part of our series.
Oh shoot, I'm losing you a little bit, girl. Oh, I just lost you for a hot second. You froze up on me, but I think you're back.
Okay. I was kind of just closing us down and thanking you so much for being part of our interview series and expressing just my gratitude and how amazing it is to be connected with you.
Anytime, my love, anytime. And lucky, your community is so fucking lucky to have you, darling.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. All right. Thanks, Wendy. Bye, everyone.